Hey everyone, JT from Ebike Escape here, and in today's video, we're gonna answer the question of how you take a crowd favorite e-bike, the RadRunner, and make it better. So, let's get into it. The RadRunner Plus and the RadRunner 2 are two of our favorite e-bikes to just kind of jump on and cruise around on here at Ebike Escape. The moped style frame with the low step through height really is one of the things that sets it apart, and I think is one of the reasons that it was one of the top sellers for rad power bikes. Whether you're just shuttling around cargo by yourself or riding around with a friend, it's really an easily accessible e-bike that anybody can jump on and ride. Those are just a few of the reasons why I was cautiously optimistic when Rad reached out about the RadRunner 3. So let's go ahead and get this thing out of the box and see how it compares to its older brothers. While I'm in here and doing some of this packaging, if you are looking to purchase any rad power bikes, if you could please consider using the links down in the description. Any purchases on rad power bikes or really any bike made through the links in the description help support Ebike Escape, helps you continue to make content like this. Also linked down in the description, if you do purchase a RadRunner 3 and are looking for some cool accessories, we have an accessories list there for you. We also have a link to our top e-bikes brands page if you are looking for, say, another e-bike besides a rad power bikes. And we will also have a link to our e-bikes discount codes page where we do actually track all of the deals on electric bike brands that we follow. We keep that page pretty up to date. So if you're looking to, say, purchase an e-bike and save a little bit of money, that's going to be a good page for you to look at. So with that out of the way, let me jump back to getting this thing out of the box so I can show it to you guys. Here you go, here's your first kind of look at it taken out of the box. This is probably gonna take me a minute to get all this little bit of packing tape off here so I can give you guys a full look at the bike. So let's go ahead and cut it here and we'll start it back up when I've got the bike mostly assembled so we can show you some of the differences between the two models. All right, I just about got all the tape off the RadRunner. I wanted to point out that I know that tape can be a little bit frustrating to get off of your bike, but I noticed that Rad put it in a lot of places that are super common for rubbing of, say, fenders, or maybe there was some right up here for the wires. So it really just is put in place to keep your paint job looking just as nice as it was when it left the factory. But I was just getting ready to throw on the handlebars here, and I want to take this opportunity to show you guys what comes in the RadRunner accessories box here. So with the RadRunner 3 Plus, you'll get your owner's manual. Of course, we recommend referencing that if you have any questions. And then inside of the box, there is tied on top here, you have a battery cover. So if you're transporting your battery and it's not in your bike, they include this cover so you can cover up the terminals to fight some corrosion and things. Also in the box, we have a bunch of reflectors. These are for the wheels. And then over here, I know we have the head and tail light reflector. Set those right there. And then one thing I wanted to point out, the Rad is really good about marking all of their items. So it really takes a lot of the guesswork out of where these bolts go. So these couple bolts here are for the fender mounting. And then right here, we have another bag, which is again nicely labeled. This has the 4 bolts to hold on the stem cap and the actual stem cap for the handlebars. And then also you'll notice hiding in there behind there are the battery keys. So they are no longer zip tied to the handlebars or somewhere else on the bike. Under the seat is where we've commonly seen them. I think that's to help combat them falling off, maybe falling out of the box. Being in this bag and tucked away into your box is a nice place to find them. Then you'll also notice here we have boxes with our charger. And this is, I believe, the standard charger that we see with a lot of the Rad Power bikes. We do know that they kind of redid some of the coloring on it. Let's see if that's the one they include. Yes, so this is actually a pretty cool charger that Rad has redone. So you have the nice orange cable. So if you have multiple e-bikes, you know which one it belongs to. And then also inside here on the pre-installed on the charger is this actual wall mounted plate. So this is really cool to see. We saw a lot of these aftermarket, got a place on the side there for your plug, but you can go ahead and mount this to your wall. Just get your charger up off the ground. Really cool to see. Rad is definitely somebody that puts that little bit of extra polish on their e-bikes, and they do kind of have the price to justify that a little bit extra. Also included, we have our pedal box and headlight. With that quick look, let me go ahead and throw the handlebars on, throw the front wheel on, and then we will take a look. Here is a quick overview look of the all-new RadRunner 3. Now, before we get into the fine details and everything about this bike, I did want to touch on the RadRunner 2 and RadRunner Plus, just in case you aren't familiar with these bikes. I kind of wanted to point out what the differences are and why the RadRunner 3 is actually the big brother to these two bikes. As you can see, there are some similarities in like the cockpit and overall frame design, but there has been some pretty substantial upgrades. Now, one thing to be clear clear of, the RadRunner Plus and RadRunner 2 are not being phased out with the release of the RadRunner 3. The RadRunner 3 is simply being placed at the top of the hierarchy of these bikes. And with that, of course, commands a higher price. So the RadRunner 3 does come in at the top price of the RadRunner models, and that is at $24.99. Now, of course, we would have loved to see Rad drop the price of the RadRunner 3. We do understand that the current world that we live in, everything is going up, but it is still unfortunate to see such a cool bike priced almost at the top of the line for the Rad models. At $24.99, the RadRunner 3 comes in at the same price as the Rad Trike, as the Rad Rover 6 Plus currently is priced at $20.99, and the Rad City 5 Plus is priced at $19.99. So what are the differences between the old RadRunner models? Well, the RadRunner Plus is a little bit higher spec than the RadRunner 2, but they do have some similarities. Similarities are the frames design are the same. They have the same amp hour size battery. They have the same 750 watt Rad motor, as well as the same Textro Aries mechanical disc brakes. And like I hinted at before, they have the same awesome BMX style handlebars that we really like. There are some other minor nuances around the bike, such as seat padding and things like that, but those are the general things that are the same. And what is different is that you will see our RadRunner 2 is spec'd out. It has the rear passenger package and the hard shell center compartment, which those were additional add-ons. And if you were to buy the RadRunner Plus, it comes with those pre-installed. These handlebars are additional for your passenger to hold on to, but it does come with these fairly pesky to install plastic wheel guards, which we think are essential, as well as fenders. And it also comes with the Elite Rad headlight, which is quite a bit brighter than the factory light. So what sets the RadRunner 3 Plus out ahead of the other RadRunner models? The best way I can think to describe it is that the RadRunner 3 Plus got what I'm dubbing the Plus makeover. Now, excluding the RadRunner Plus, the RadRunner 3 Plus here matches the Rad Rover 6 Plus and Rad City 5 Plus. So that means it got the same 14 amp hour semi-integrated battery on the frame, Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, as well as the same dual LCD display that we saw on the other bikes. And another subtle change that the RadRunner 3 Plus got was some additional tuning to the motor and controller to give it a little bit better hill climbing capability. Now, currently our beloved hill is covered in ice, so we'll have to wait until spring to give that a test, and keep an eye out in early spring for our full review of the RadRunner 3 Plus. Now, these subtle changes are things that we did appreciate on the other Rad models, and they are nice to see applied to one of our favorite frame designs from Rad. And you also notice some of the difference in the shape of the seat here. That was probably one of the biggest complaints I remember of the RadRunner, is that it was not a very comfy seat. This looks a lot more plush, as well as it has a little bit more of a unique shape. I think that's to complement the additional rear seat that Rad is selling as an accessory. Almost has a motorcycle-ish look to it, kind of like a moped. And while we're also back here, you may notice the Toolie Up window, which is something we really love here at Ebikescape, as we all have kids. While we're back here looking at the rear rack area, you will notice that it looks a little bit more robust than the previous RadRunner models. We noticed that they added these rear pannier bars. Now, like I hinted at before, with the RadRunner 3 being the top bike in the hierarchy, the price of the RadRunner 3 is also increased. Now, that price did also catch us a bit off guard. It's about a $500 increase over the RadRunner Plus model, and the RadRunner 2 comes in still below $2,000. But there are some things that you do get from a Rad power bike that you really don't get from other e-bike manufacturers. You know you're going to get a well-polished e-bike from the largest e-bike manufacturer and seller in North America, as well as you're going to get a product that has a lot of little polishes and subtle touches that you're not going to find on other e-bikes. One of those subtle touches that we want to call out is with the release of the RadRunner 3, Rad is designing a dual battery add-on that's going to go right here in the rear rack, and it looked from the pictures that it is going to utilize the 14 amp hour frame battery and just duplicate that and give you a carriage that mounts it right here in the rear frame. Now, that'll be the first time Rad has ever ventured into the world of dual batteries. Really cool to see, hoping that that crosses over to some other models. Be sure to subscribe to this video so that you will be notified when we get one of those in and put it to the test. Rad is claiming that that dual battery option will give you a range of 100 miles. As we've seen with other releases of Rad models, Rad has has a slew of aftermarket accessories for the RadRunner 3, from a additional rear trailer that has some cool features as being multi-purpose. There are different inserts that actually go on the trailer, such as a pet insert. I know that's one thing that my puppy will love to give a try out in the summertime, as well as Rad is releasing some hard shelled pannier bags that mount on the side that lock, so you don't have to worry about when you're going into a store of your stuff getting maybe stolen or not leaving something on the bike. As well as you're gonna see on the old Rad models a center console case that is also gonna be locking. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of the accessories Rad is releasing with the RadRunner 3. They are known for having some very well designed and really some pretty aesthetically pleasing accessories. Let us know if there are any accessories that you have on your RadRunner models. We're always looking for new, cool accessories to show off in our accessories videos. We're hoping to get this RadRunner 3 accessorized fairly quickly and show off that rear trailer. We're just waiting on a few more accessories from Rad before we do that video, so be sure to comment below and let us know if there are any accessories you think we should feature. Overall, the refresh of the RadRunner 3 Plus is a great addition to the RadRunner lineup. We're happy to see that they kept the crowd favorite frame design, as we know that was one thing that we really enjoyed about the RadRunner. And again, the full review of this RadRunner 3 Plus will be out in early spring. And one last time, if you are looking to purchase any Rad power bike, please consider using the links down in the description. All purchases made through those links help directly support Ebike Escape and help us continue to make content like this one. Until then, see you guys in the next one.